Do 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 do. Ba 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is me singing. There we go. Everything should be working. Great. I'll trade you the keyboard for the mat. There we go. Fix. There we go. There we go, just in the shot. Good morning, Kobe. So the paint arrived. It dried. I Mod Podged it a little bit to kind of seal the paint in there. And we're pretty much good to go with these tiles. Just need to start painting them the grays and all the other colors on top of it, which we'll get to. But we want to mess around and get this guy made. Excuse me. There we go. So that's fine. We want the base here. I had this as like a scrap piece that I made. So that'll probably become the base. You're excused. Thank you. I don't know what I would do without that. Alright, so what I want, it looks like I need to cut just a little bit off the tip. What does that look like to me? It's about like just a hair more than 5 centimeters. Not 5 centimeters. 5 millimeters. That would be a drastic difference. Okay. I believe these are 45 angle cuts. Cool. Great. We can just bring this over to the hot wire cutter and we can cut there today. Gotta plug in this cable to make it work. There we go. All right. It's gonna be cold out there. Let me grab my shoes. Here we go. see, guys. What? You using real units? Yeah, that's right. I'm using real units. Get used to it, son. There we go. Can you hear me now? It's just that most tabletop games use inches. So I'm used to people using... Yeah, no worries. This 8 centimeter piece is basically a 3-inch piece, right? So that's how I justify it. I kind of look for something that's roughly what I'm doing. So 8 centimeters is just shy of 3 inches. But I use centimeters because all my tools, all my grids, everything uses centimeters. Except if I go to my big orange grid, then they go to inches. So I'm kind of everywhere. Even my own mom was shocked. Alright, so let's get you up and close. Let's see. So that is overhang. Allie and I just got done binge watching all the Mendez brother series on Netflix. Just shy of... I might do a full centimeter. That was a wild ride. Flip the switch. Watching the live stream while my students take their midterm feels so wrong, but yet so right. Because they would do the same thing on you. My screens keep flickering. One of my HDMI cables is bad. That's why. So let's do half. Let's start with half an inch. And work our way up. Half an inch, half a centimeter. Oh, that's not terrible. Probably just a little bit more. Let's go there. Okay, that's nice. What's the angle that I used on this? Was it 45? No, I don't think it was. That seems pretty close. What is that? Okay, it's about 10 degrees. All right. Da 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 do. Na na da da da. Ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba. Boo boo. Here we go. Do 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 da 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 do 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 da 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 do da 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 do. Bum ba ba bum ba dum ba. Almost went into there. There we go. It's for the small doors. Stop them all. You don't catch doors anymore. You don't catch them all. You only stop them all. Da 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 da. Oh, whoops. Wrong side. If there's not a door Pokemon already, I don't know what they're doing. Like, it's obvious that there should be a door Pokemon. Look, guys, I got sandpaper finally. I feel so grown up. Tough. I'm such a big boy. Can I get the home? Jeez. My favorite thing in the world, plastic. Sure makes everything great. There we go. Well, like sand sponges, but same thing. I don't need 60. think I just will go straight for the 220. Oops. Well, that's going to be part of the decoration now. Just a little happy accident. That's right. This is the first piece I'm actually sanding. Helps a lot. Who would have thought? Let's see here. I'm gonna bring you guys over to the other side. Over to the other side. Wow, wow. Over to the other side. Switch cameras. Nope. Over to the other side. Look at that. I fixed it. There we go. I'm like a camera guy, you know? All right. It's been bugging me for a minute. This piece of acrylic. So you can see the light if I angle it for you. But if I go dead on, you can't see it. So we're gonna cut this piece right here. D&D for university. Yeah, that does sound cool. No. Oh, that's right. There we go. I haven't used this in a minute. Plastic. I just got my new Dremel blades. Got a blade for wood, metal, and plastic. That is a reinforcement piece. Don't need that. What am I doing wrong? Oh no, it's acrylic that we're cutting. I understand. And that's why you keep the manual. So today's the day where Carmichael cuts his finger. When was the last time we used a Dremel? I think it was back when we were doing wood pallets out of wood. I have a feeling that I'm going to need a vise. There we go. Let's not be stupid. There we go. No stupids needed. We all agree we don't need to be stupid. Which way do we spin? Okay. Beautiful. Well, good luck in class. There we go. There you are. Yep. Dan, I didn't see you come in. Welcome. Okay. So it's easy to spot it on the sanded side. So here comes another test. We're going to test on here rather than the full piece. Clean off the edge. So I gave you permission. We'll do a test because I am curious how destroyed the foam would get. All right, so we want to sand one side. Let's start with 60 grit. Cool. So I'm gonna look on this side. Oh, it catches the light so much better. The clear side. I see my door opening. Is it a kitty cat? It's the brave Severus Snape. Great. So, that's what we want. Fantastic. Let's do all four sides. Fantastic Four. But yeah, we were watching the Mendez series on Netflix. So fun. Oh, that's gonna be so nice. So this would go in here. Beautiful. All right, let's go for the whole thing. Sand the whole thing now, or no, we should put this whole thing together and make sure it works. Okay, so you have to go in here, grab a pen. Are your cats going to be outdoor cats now? They're not outdoor cats. At best, I occasionally let them put a paw out on the patio, but no. The scenario that goes in my head, because I've seen how scared Snape gets, is if he goes outside, pick a sound, right? Any sound. It spooks him just enough. He runs off in the wrong direction, gets hit by a car. Why is that scenario in my head? I've had a dog that happened to. A little traumatizing. Just a little bit. So I want to avoid repeating history. How thick is this? Is it an inch? No. What are these lines? So we have inch, quarter inches. Yeah, so the orange mat is in imperial. Well, everything else I have is in metric. Alright, sounds like something's got to get replaced soon. So what do we have? This is 2 centimeters. Basically, most of an inch. You know what might make sense? Before I start doing crazy stuff. Because I drew this line, right? It was just for aesthetic. What if we go 2 centimeters up? Ooh, that's really close. And just cut. We just do a solid cut across. And we open up the slot for this. It'll be kind of hard because we're at an angle right now. So I can put a wedge. Put one of my wedges down. Yeah, we can try that. And it'll just cut 2 centimeters in. To be fair, a lot of cats do go missing when they run around. Yeah. You know, it's like, if we got snow, I would maybe take the cat out and just like super supervised so they can experience snow. But that's about it. All right. So this won't work. Assure me that this is going to work, guys. I need a sliver of foam. How thick are you? There we go. I've never experienced snow. Is it fun? It is fun. it's work. You know, you gotta clean your driveway and stuff like that. But it is absolutely fun. It's fun. It's wonderful. Wonder-filling. Annoying. All the good stuff. You know, the things that they say about sand. It gets everywhere. Hades. All right, we did it. So now that line in the middle is no longer just aesthetic. It actually has a function. Ugh. Oh, Hades. I want to thank you very much for the recommendation. I've read just the first chapter and I skimmed through it to look at most of the art and some of the major things that caught my eye. I'm looking forward to reading the rest. It snows, it's wet, it's cold, but it's nice. When you live up north, as it gives a lot of like, oh yeah, that's true. When you don't live up north, when you're just in like Minnesota, which is north, and it's just bright sunlight, oh, it's the worst. Because you're like, no, now I can't see. Bevel the edges. Go. Have any of you seen, I think it's on TikTok and Instagram as well, but I think I've only seen it on YouTube Shorts. It's an AI generated video showing how the Egyptians built the pyramids, and they have these giant pharaohs helping them carry rocks around. Super eerie. Oh, guys, it looks so nice. All right, so now we just cut this through. There's a little lip, that's okay. Just need the right tool for the job. I don't think we need the Dremel anymore. My cables. What was the book I just showed? I'll show you in a second. I got a Dremel tool in my hand. Aztecs, Reign of Blood and Splendor. Chapter 1, The Fall of the City. 2, People in Search of a Past. And it's just basically a really beautiful history book with really good art and photographs of just Mayan, what's the word? Not architecture. Architecture is true. Archaeology. Like, check this out. For them to build the pyramids, because they didn't have scaffolding, they just built pyramid on top of pyramid on top of pyramid on top of pyramid until they got to the size that they wanted. And the thing I know, I didn't get from this book, but I do know, is the biggest difference on top, other than aesthetic, from Egyptian pyramid is Aztec pyramids were built solid, which is showing the example in that book, while pyramids in Egypt were built hollow as tombs. And whenever someone was going to be buried under an Aztec or a Mayan temple or pyramid, they would have to dig it out to make the tomb. There we go. But if you're not aware, the reason why I'm interested in that is for the dragon architecture and bits of their culture, I wanted to pull from Mayan and Aztec. So when we make, eventually when we make a dragon's dungeon, we can pull from Aztec and Mayan architecture to build it. To build the tiles, to build the pillars. And sure, in the artistic sense, we're looking just at the aesthetic, but I'm hoping to go a little bit more than that, and having that book really helps. Mayans. On top of that, you know, Allie is half Mexican, half Irish. Her entire side of her family that lives near me is the Mexican side of the family. And part of, a lot of the parts, hi everybody. Is it cold? Can't tell. A big part of the world building that I really love is when I'm inspired by a real world culture, historically or currently, and I want to weave that in to the world. That is an excuse for me to learn about the cultures, learn about history, learn about just the events of that time. Yeah, giants are kind of the fantasy, sci-fi looking architecture, so there's not real research there, as much historic research as much as there is sci-fi research. But then I'm also looking in a lot of Egypt and stuff, because I'm pulling a lot of from a little bit of Egypt mixed with Forerunner from Halo, and trying to find the right aesthetic for this culture that I'm essentially creating, that is a big foundation to a lot of things in the world. But like elves, right? Elves in my world, they're heavily based off of ancient Rome and ancient Greece. And they evolve into a time like the Victorian era. Like, that's a big leap. What is it? 200 BCE jump to 1800s. Like, that is like connected. And then we get to neo-fantasy right after that. And through the process of working with Ivan for the music, in the process of doing this architecture stuff in the dungeons with the foam, and just doing the research, I'm finding little things about my setting that I haven't known yet, and I'm so excited about integrating in my next games. from Chile? Hell yeah. Is it spicy? Stupid joke. Okay, we need to test. Oh, this is stuck. There we go. I'm gonna mess with the camera for a hot second. Because being out here is just a little technically encumbrant. There we go. Inside at the desk, I have OBS and all that stuff that I can see. Out here, I can only see this, and I have a couple monitors with chat. There we go. The jankiest, but I can see you guys. I'll bring you in close once I get this up and going. Okay, the sign works. There we go. Got it running. Okay, so we basically want to dig out this hole to fit that LED. Yes, I'm doing it right. I don't think the pillar needs this, but because I'm trying to do the LED, that's where this comes in kind of important. Netflix came out times. On. Oh. The key. There we go. Nice and clean. But Ryan Johnson has another show about the Mendez brothers, and Allie and I binged it, and we were having a blast watching it. Do I need the Dremel tool again? I do. Where did I put the Dremel? Let's unplug that. Trying to stay organized and put my tools where they belong. Did you know you could get Dremel tool accessories that turn this into like bandsaws or routers? I did not know that. It's going to be in the Shadowdark system or not, and not D&D. My next campaign, yeah. Let me clarify. The next one that's going to be released, publicly, it's a 4-episode piece. That's going to be in D&D 5e. Then the 2 games that are about to be released for backers, which is uncut, Cocaine Owlbear and Beneath the Giants. Beneath the Giants is 5e, DM'd by my friend Chris, and then Cocaine Owlbear is Shadowdark. The next campaign I run and record will be in Shadowdark. I'm trying to make 4 of these suckers. Close. Let's get a little bit finer. I have a lot to edit. Yes. It's why I'm going to not be releasing, there's a few scheduled to release, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to be recording and releasing any new Talking Heads videos or like DM tips or stuff like that for a while, because I want to make sure I'm not taking time away from editing the games. Look at that, everybody. And I don't even need glue. Just pressure, and it'll be fine. So I can pull it out, turn it off, turn it on, and put it in. What happened to the doors you were designing like 2 weeks ago, I believe? The design is still there. We are definitely going to get to it, but first I want to get these pillars made, or at least one pillar, and then we can come back to the pillars. So we have an LED in here, and we're going to want something like this. Yeah, this is the full height. Let's see, make sure you see. So that means this has to cut through the foam here. So now we kind of have to predict a little bit on looks. We might be getting to the part where we have to start gluing this top piece together. All right, so let's, careful, there we go. Grab super fine. I'm excited for that doorway. There's going to be a lot of small pieces and a lot of big pieces put together to make that sucker. So based off our tests, on the clear side, can't see it, but on the sanded side, it carries the light. Does it carry the light all the way? It's pretty tall. But yeah, we worked on the design of the doorway ahead of time while we were waiting for materials and things to show up for these pillars. Let's go full grit. So that way, once we get through the pillars, we know how we're jumping into the next thing. not catch in light because I'm not going horizontal. That is actually part of the reason. Not enough horizontal lines to catch the levels of light. Between the doorway, the pillars, the tiles, and everything between, it's gonna look like it's. I know it's going to be this so cool. Ah, man, it doesn't really send the light up as high as I'd like it. Am I holding the... Whoa, 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 what's going on? I'm just noticing a flaw in my work. I have two of the exact same sides. Oh no! I'm just catching that. It really doesn't send it up any higher, does it? Looking at the camera feed. Yeah, it doesn't shoot it all the way up. It's at best halfway. Well, I mean, what that tells me is I could cut this in half and still have everything I need. And so on the pillar side, it would actually look more like this, and this would just be open. I think that's okay. That has like a nice devil horn look to it. Oh man, I can't believe I never noticed that I made two right sides and no left sides. Oh. Well, we can't do anything with those parts. At least for yet. All right, well. Okay, so I want the pillar. My hand's blocking your view. So what I want is I'm trying to see the lineup. So about 1 centimeter in, we want this to kind of be flushed. So we're going to send this to the back a little bit. How do you stay motivated when I was working from home? The last thing I wanted to do after work was craft, but now I'm back in the office and I can't wait to craft when I get home. It's a bit tough. Little things that I can do between hours and minutes throughout the day when working from home. Like I can head out here and sand a thing, or put Mod Podge on an older piece to seal it. Like I'll work on that over and over again. There we go. It's about there. that helps a lot. There are times when, like, right before the stream starts, I think about, like, oh, maybe I just want to play a video game today. You know? But I also want to build the dungeon. I want my dungeon, I want my world to exist. So I think about that, and I think about you guys. I think all of you, and how much the story of building this dungeon is important. It's valuable. We're invested. We want to see where it goes. We want to see the mistakes. There's a cat by the door, just hanging out. And I think about that, and that helps me a lot. I have had motivation mistakes in the past where I make, what's the phrase? Too big of a bite. I can't chew what I bite off. And I have to kind of drop a project because it's too complicated for my skill set. So if you're making something that's beyond your skill set and you're kind of pushing yourself, like this stuff is, there are going to be times where intimidation defeats your motivation. And you want to get around that by having other things be motivators, like you guys. Like, what's another motivation I have? Seeing the final thing, you know, like, I buy these tools, I buy this material, I don't want to have it go to waste. And I think about that too. I don't want to be wasting my money. I want to be investing my money on materials and spending the time in making those materials into things I want to play with, want to show my friends who are like, yeah, I made this and it matters because of X, Y, and Z. Shame can kind of help in a healthy dosage. It's like microdosing with shame. It's the same type of thing of, like, if you don't put the grocery cart back, you should be shaming yourself just to microdose a bit. So that's there. And I just want to build the world. I want the world to exist in some physical, audible, and storytelling way. So those are my motivators. Alright, now I have to drill a hole in this. Guess I'll grab the heating stick again. Fire stick. But now that you're back at in the office, coming home and wanting to craft, I mean, it's a balance of wanting to spend your time thoughtfully and intentionally, right? And when you're home all day working, you're already doing that, and all you want to do is rest the brain. You want to make less choices. But being away from your home and then finally coming home, it's exciting because it's walking through the door and new choices are available.
Are you enjoying the chilly weather as you craft?
It's very cold.
You need a little space heater out here?
No, that's a lot of electricity.
No, I know. Too bad you don't have, like, what is there a spell to, like, make a fire?
It's called Fireball.
That would set you on fire. Could you conjure, like, a tiny one just to, like, have it there to keep you warm?
Can you get the tiny fireball?
Let's get you breakfast.
This is set too high.
Oh my goodness.
If I line up my lines, I can make it work. It's a little off. It's a difficult piece. Enough. Okay, time for office hours. Waiting for students to tell me how they thought the math wasn't fair. Good luck. Let's get an LED in the right spot. What does it look like in complete darkness? Or utter darkness, I should say. Oh, well, you know, with less light, it catches more because it's mostly the only source of light available. All right. So we have this part. Want to go with the grain the best you can. Sanding is a nicer way to get these bevels. Just saying. thin sand. Thin sand. This is where paper would actually be helpful. Oh, that's fine. So I would take this, essentially glue it right here. Yeah. And that's what it would look like. With a little bit LED glow down here, and just a little bit carrying up here. But I need to make the actual opposite side. Okay. That's not a part of the project for today, though. Because cutting these pillar wings, as I like to call them, takes a long time to get right. More like a Sunday project. Fun coincidence, though, having two one sides, forcing me to cut another set of pillar wings and make sure that their other side, I automatically am walking straight into getting another set of pillars. So that's great. It's a necessity that needs to happen. Just getting it simple, just getting it fun, making all great things all day long. I'm happy with that. And now they just need to take a beating and get really aged up. Let's put some texture on these. Da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. Tin foil. Take a pen. Make the lines a little bit stronger. There we go. Fantastic. So we have a little bit of this texture going on. Had to put out a fire. No worries. Well, Hades, we discovered that the pillar wings that I made don't lap over. I've made two of the same sides. So we have to make another pair just to build the whole pillar. Good news, the base is heavy. So if I was to actually put this on top of, how does that work with needing to interact with the light on the inside? I won't be able to change out the LED. Oops, this is going on the wrong side. Rotate that. There we go. The base is great because it can fit within the tiles, but then I lose control. So having this as like a bottom might be out of the question, and it just gets in the way. With having both pieces, how hard is it to... I don't know how hard it is to pull the light out if I can't access the top. I'm holding on to it. Okay. Then you put it back in. Okay. It's not terrible. But we just make sure that it's actually sticking out a little bit at the bottom. There we go. Okay. So we want to glue those two together. Can you guys still hear the music? The Age of Thunder exploration music. That roll. We'll grab this. Getting some messages, and I want to make sure they're not fires I have to put out. Okay. So we want to put textures on the wings like we did with the bases. This was me kind of sloppily experimenting. And I like this more than this. And it's kind of like a faded here and there look. There we go. Supple and nice. And then we beat it to all hell. Go. Grab a tool. Grab a tool. Make a shoal. Do 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 do. Da 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 da. Fa la la la. This little guy. Yeah, it worked, it didn't work. Fine. I was hoping to add just a couple scratches. Wasn't the right way to do the scratches. go. There we go. I should also mention, Hades, a big goal is to actually use this stuff in the community games that I'm planning. So backers are going to become players as well. That is a hopeful thought. What was the most difficult lesson you've learned as a GM? Most difficult lessons. That's a great question. Most difficult most difficult lesson I learned as a GM. It's a lot of lessons. Yes, and prioritizing the players over the setting, the dungeon, the adventure itself. Like, whatever I prepped for the adventure doesn't really matter. What matters is I'm showing up with a fun game for everyone else to enjoy, and the joy of being the dungeon master or the game master is the player's joy. So it's really removing the ego entirely from the situation, and you're really just trying to host the best party you can get. That was a big one. And that just takes practice, being aware of that. And then every time you hit a road bump of like, I don't know if I should do that. I don't know if that's allowed. Like, practice letting it happen. Biggest lesson I'm actively always trying to practice and learn is don't let the players roll for everything. Every roll is another 30 seconds of time management. Every roll is another outcome you have to create on the fly. Players dictate when they want to roll. Let's just do that. I want to open the door. You open the door. Oh, the door's locked. What do you want to do? I want to pick it. Great, you're the thief. I could ask them to roll with advantage, or I could just let them open it. It depends. Do I want a natural 1 to be a part of the conversation right now? You know, lesson learned from Alien RPG is don't have players roll unless the natural 1 matters. If natural 1 doesn't matter, don't let them roll. Don't need to roll. Advantage should feel good because you're trying to avoid that natural 1. So unlocking this door. What value does the natural 1 bring to the conversation? If I critically fail, what happens at this locked door? Do I have something prepared? Do I not? Guards show up and a fight happens? That's fine. That's kind of fun. It's not something you want all the time, especially like the beginning of a dungeon or the first door you go to. Because you also got to learn about game design and the fact that you're training your players every encounter. So if the first door they go to is locked, trapped, you have to roll, get a natural 1, and bad shit happens. Every door moving on, they're going to spend extra time and be suspicious of. That could be a thing that you want, might not be a thing you want. Or you can have the first door be that kind of a difficult thing, have natural 1 be a part of the conversation as a red herring, and all the other doors in the dungeon, no problem whatsoever. Maybe because narratively they learn from the first door how to worry about the next doors. But the last door, there's a natural 1 involved. So it's like that kind of mind game puzzling, and that's puzzling is the right word. I don't like puzzles, and by that I don't like bringing externalized puzzles into the game. I'm not good at them as a player myself, so I know how it feels when you're not good at puzzles and a DM puts a puzzle in front of you. Your brain just shuts down. Your brain shuts off most of the time, and I don't want that to happen. So it's like, how are other ways I can bring puzzles? Hey, Sneaky. What are other puzzles I can bring into the game to make the players' brains tickle? It's why I like the slot or load system. Load system is from Alien RPG and I believe 5 Torches Deep. Then I like the slot system from Shadowdark. It makes your inventory a small micro puzzle for the players to pay attention to, especially when the stakes get high and there's a lot of things to carry and stuff like that. When torches matter, don't want to go overboard with inventory, like what are the pounds, what are the units of measurement. No, just make it slots and load's a little convoluted, but it works when you in Alien RPG more than it does in D&D. But it's a small brain tickling puzzle. Patterns of locked doors, that's a small puzzle. Having terrain that vertically stacks, right? How do you get from here to there? Well, I can climb it. Well, that's going to be really slow. But what you could do is jump on the ladder, and now you'll get your full speed and you can come up. And you can help your players solve that puzzle. That's okay. They don't have to be like, well, I can't climb there because I don't have a ladder. Well, you can say, well, you can. It'll just take up twice as much speed because it's climbing. Whereas the ladder is walking. You can just take the normal speed that would go up that way. And that gets their brain even going further. And that's a good feeling as a player. Like, oh, okay, so I can do that. Okay, so if I can do that, what's the next thing I could do? I could do this, and maybe some players start talking to each other and be like, maybe go there, maybe do this. Oh yeah, you're right. Because when you start getting puzzly, your brain starts getting into chess. There's a problem-solving mode, and the biggest thing to make sure players know that the solutions to the puzzles are not zero-sum. You are not going to die because you didn't solve the puzzle. It's not a zero-sum game. Solving the puzzle the best way possible or the most optimal might get you to a great result. But I, as an influential oppositional force, this is not zero-sum because I can change the rules and the conditions whenever I want. As a player, what has been your favorite one-shot in terms of mechanics or homebrew rules? As a player, Alien is fun. Alien gets a little chunky because it has the action economy is a little beefed up. I'm a fan of Shadowdark because of it being less choices mechanically on the sheet, and it's a game that encourages creative thinking. So it's like, I have an action, what can I do? Rather than looking through my skills, looking through my character sheet of what are the things I could do that, or what are the bonus abilities I get because I'm a level 5 rogue. And I've done that. The game encourages you to do that. And so I'm playing here, character sheet and me, not the GM, not the other players. I don't like that. It can be fun because I get to do cool things, but I find that most D&D game masters don't like it when you succeed at using your abilities. By that I mean, if I'm a rogue and I have cunning action, I think it's called, and I can step away from battle and move around. Dungeon masters, like in 5e, like to make sure you can't do that. And so now you have to think of something else to do. That's not what the game encourages by design. The game encourages you to pick an ability and use that ability to get out of the situations that the dungeon master has prepared. That's why the ability is there. To stop you from using the ability can be fun in certain moments. Definitely not every moment. Or the first time you're ever using this ability, this is the training of the player. If it's the first time you're using cunning action as a player who's playing a rogue, and you can't use it because the DM said, well, you can't because this, and this. I am de-incentivized psychologically to ever use cunning action again. I have no evidence in my brain that it will ever work. Shadowdark, I'm good at using my hands to solve puzzles and unlock doors. Like, it's very vague. So it's like, it's more of a prompt to my own ideas. And I really like that. Call of Cthulhu is very similar that way. Though it's skill-based and there's a lot of skills you can use, the naming of skills is pretty vague. And I like skill-based as a player a lot of the time because the more you use a skill, the better you get at that skill. So by the end of the game, you kind of see what you doubled down on. And it's a little fun. One time I put a riddle in a session and the players couldn't figure it out the last one and just shut down. It didn't feel good as a GM, so I started to give them clues, like perception rolls. But then Okay. I would have done the same thing, but today I wouldn't. Today I would not even put a perception roll there, because now natural 1 is in the conversation. Okay, they're all stuck on this riddle. Roll perception checks. Everyone rolls a natural 1. We're in the same boat. If not worse, because natural 1 means bad stuff. Are you prepared? You know? Natural 1, a chute opens under their feet. They move on. They take some damage as they fall into the dungeon room. That's a way you can run that. I think there's a philosophy in getting rid of certain roles in games. Like, there's a wave of people talking about getting rid of intelligent checks, specifically lore checks. Because if it's important to the game, just tell the players what the lore is. And I agree and disagree. Because somebody who invests in a character that is a scholar who learns things about the history of the world, you know, it's rewarding to that player to roll well and get information and share that with the players, other players. So she could see the scenery, and it gave environmental clues. So how I have run the puzzle, a locked door in the past, is I say you walk up to a door, you see a stone door hidden in the walls. You notice the framing, because without any roll, I'm describing this, because this is something that with light and fire and the ability to catch patterns, they will see this. I describe that they see the doorway built in to the wall, but it's blocked because it's just a stone door. Then they start interacting. They literally ask questions. They go, is there a doorknob? You don't see one. Okay, there's no doorknob. And they try to figure out ways to interact with it. A mage will touch it and try to cast a spell, and I typically let that open. Or the thief will try to use a crowbar to push it open and ask somebody for help. I'll let that happen. If they are trying to just physically push it, I'll have them roll. Say let it happen, right? They have to roll a spell check. They have to roll dexterity, and natural 1 can be involved, because it means, okay, that tactic didn't work. But what could work is the magic spell, or the magic spell didn't work. Maybe using physical strength works. At one point, in this stone door on a wall puzzle, they rolled really bad on a crowbar. The mage was not paying attention enough, so they weren't casting a spell. Hey, Brickmaster. And the fighter who was doing the pushing, it didn't work either. So one of the most timid players at the table, who was playing a roustabout, somebody who has no business being in an adventure, right? They walked up and they knocked on the door. I was like, that's great. The door opens. You know, I've punished you enough sitting here. You've all been actively thinking of trying to find ways to get in this door. And I find that adorable, that the solution the whole time after, fail. Okay, what's the success? A simple knock. And we were all laughing because everyone was racking their heads around, and the simple solution was just... I think that's actually the biggest lesson I've learned as a game master, is understanding the beats of storytelling, improvising, and kind of a little bit of comedy. Comedy beats match horror beats, so it's really good to match them together. Fail, and every time they failed on that door, I had them roll on the umbral clock, so tension was building and building. They're surrounded by corpses of skeletons from ancient times, so they know that the skeletons are about to rise and get them. And the fact that it was just a knock, it was a breath of coming up to breathe after all that tension building. That was really fun. Where are you right now? Looks like you're outside. I am. Temperature appears to be low. It is. But the desk, chair, and computer suggest indoors. Where do you think I could be, little sneaky one? You don't know where I am, do you? No, I'm outside. I'm on my my patio. I built that. But I have a desk chair out here. The monitor there, I have a monitor there. They're synced up, and they go through a line with an HDMI splitter that goes to an HDMI that goes into the room to a splitter to one of my monitors for my computer. And that one I unplug to just roll out here. So when I want to stream and come out here, plug that in, mirror the monitors, and I can keep an eye on chat. So yeah, I think Shadowdark and Cthulhu have been my favorite experiences as a player. Obviously, I have more hours in on D&D. And thing is, when I played 5e, the most fun I'm having is combat or problem solving with my abilities. So it's mechanical interaction. The RP side of D&D, I can have some fun. It depends on who I'm RPing with, right? Which is a uncontrollable variable. The most controlled variable is the mechanical side, right? Whereas in Cthulhu, the mechanics are more up in the air, and it's forcing you to RP to interact with the mechanics. And same thing with Shadowdark. Shadowdark is vague enough that mechanically you have to be RPing to trigger the mechanics. So it brings more life into the interaction with the game. And I just enjoy that. Making RP matter for a player. I do want to try out Mothership. Mothership is an indie game just like Shadowdark, but it uses the Cthulhu system, a rules-light version of the Cthulhu system. I could be totally wrong, but this is what my brain remembers. And uses it for sci-fi horror. So like Alien, right? So it would replace Alien RPG with a more rules-light, skill-based system that's an indie game. And it's not limited to just the Alien universe. You can do The Thing, you can do Cthulhu, you can just do space adventure. But I thought that's a system I really want to try and learn. How do you design homebrew mechanics? Do you talk to players about it, or just throw them into the game and see what happens? Hit and miss. A little bit of both. So if the mechanic if the homebrew is interfering with a core, reliable mechanic that the players know and trust to understand the gameplay, they need to agree to that ahead of time. If it's like the UMBRAL clock, where, hey, now you're entering a new room, I want you to roll on this for me. This is a new tension system to build up the tension, and if the moment the clock hits 0, an encounter happens. No stopping it. The excitement of the, like, ooh, this spicy new thing, that comes into play. Because it's not interfering with what they know and are relying on to play the game. The most pushback on homebrews I've ever gotten is when you change a core thing that they rely on. You change actions, change bonus actions, right? You change how spells work, right? If I was to play D&D 5e, but take the Shadowdark magic system where you use spell checks and no spell slots, and put that into 5e, my players would have to agree to that ahead of time, because that changes how they're expecting magic to work in the game. But I would also say, one thing I do let people know, I change the death mechanics all the time. My favorite death mechanic is death by choice. And I let players know ahead of time that that's how we run it. So there's no death save, there's no death countdown, it's death by choice. When you hit 0, you get to choose one of 3 options of what happens, and we see how that outcome affects the game. Those options are Blaze of Glory, where you get 1 action right now. It's an automatic critical success. The moment the action is done, you instantly die. Immediately. Like, there's no... What do you want to go out doing, basically? Second option, Not Today. You go unconscious, you take a scar. You can only do that, like, once per day or, like, once per session. So that way they don't spam that. A lot of players will take that the first time they go down, because they're like, okay, I learned how deadly this game is. Some brave souls do Risk It All, which is the third one. A lot of people enjoy that one, which is you roll a d20, 10 or lower, you die, 11 or higher, long rest benefits, and you're back in. And it's from Daggerheart originally. I don't know if it's still in Daggerheart. I think it was in the playtests. I really loved it. It got death out of the dice's control and more into the player's control. Dice's control, out of the death saves, out of the death counters. My players love it. Yeah, Hades. It's from originally from the Daggerheart system. A player at my table is a war veteran, human fighter. War veteran as in the player or the character? He lost his son in battle and is now retired. So her character is a multi-class drunken master monk. Okay, so veteran character. The character sees a lot of his son in one of our PCs. Okay, and every time that character gets hurt, her character has to roll a saving throw. What's the consequence of failing that saving throw? I see the idea there. If she fails, it rolls a d6 to see how her character reacts. It can be good or bad. That's neat. It's not necessarily what I would do, but that's neat. I think if it was somebody at my table, it's similar to a madness thing. In Shadowdark, something that you're allowed to do is take stat damage, which means all your stats are essentially extra HP. So rather than just killing you because you're fighting a ghost, I can be attacking your wisdom and making you more mad and more afraid. I can be attacking your strength, making you weaker, rather than just attacking your 3 or 4 HP points. HP points. It's an ATM machine. So the way I would personally do it is, if the other player who's embodying the child, I would say roll a d4 automatically, and you subtract that d4 from your wisdom. From your wisdom score. And you roll a d4 to recover your wisdom on a rest, whether it's short or long. So if the kid gets really hurt, your wisdom goes down a lot. I would do something like that. Or charisma. Like the parent gets less sociably sophisticated the more their kid's in trouble. That's kind of what I would run. And typically, at least the players I've played with, they would get the cue of like, oh, my charisma's going down because my kid's getting hurt. It goes from heroic rush, so they have advantage on attack. That's cool. But that's assuming that on attack rolls and stuff. So that assumes that a roll could be part of it. Like a check to end the confrontation, or just if you're in combat. Or it can experience, like, post-trauma, have disadvantage. That's kind of tough. Because that player who plays the kid could actively choose to do things that force that other player to do something negative. I mean, if the players are down, the players are down, right? And then they're going to have fun with the back and forth. The advantage and disadvantage is smart. Right. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't affect their HP at all. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think that works great. The players are fine with it. Advantage or disadvantage, so it can affect you in situations and combat. That's pretty good. Wondering, is there another way you could do it? Do they get pack tactics when they're next to each other? I can't mess with this because it's still drying. How long have I been streaming? It's 9:42. I've been streaming since 7:30. Been essentially 2 hours. So we got to wrap this up. Let's talk about the sun. Is it a sun? Son and mother? Father? Parent and child. Oops, sorry for the parent and child, basically. Yeah, I would give them pack tactics, so they get advantage on rolls when they're next to each other. So they could, like, socially gang up on people, or they inspire each other in combat. I like doing that when it comes to like family members or just family members. So like married couples, parent and child, siblings, when they're actually next to each other fighting or next to each other trying to talk over an NPC and win a social encounter, they have advantage with pack tactics. They're part of a pack. Pack. Tongue. So, yeah. I mean, I'm down for that kind of play. My last campaign, I made my players roll for trauma with the madness table at the beginning of their day or in a stressful situation. Because some point almost everyone had died at least once, and it was a way to say, hey, this is taking a toll on you. Yeah. In a long form, I haven't run a Shadowdark long form campaign where dying and getting back up is beyond just the fun aspect of surviving, right? I think I would it be a trauma thing? I think the difficulties when rolling for death by choice would increase. Every time you fall unconscious, it goes up by 1. So rather than the DC starting at 10, being always at 10, it now becomes 11. Now it's 12 because you keep choosing to fall down, or you keep getting in situations where I'm knocking you down. Then the madness thing. I don't have experience with enough players that would work with. Because at some point, almost everyone had died. Yeah, I already read that. Screen flickered. I mean, it makes sense. And if everyone at the table is going with it, it works. I think one of the best ways, smoothest ways to interact with trauma in D&D is just fear, the fear condition. Fear and rage. I think that's the best way to do it. Ask the player, hey, do you think this would frighten you because of your trauma, or do you think it would enrage you? Because those two expressions are typically what happen through anxiety. It's not all, but those are kind of the big ones. And depending on the player's point of view of I think this would actually scare him. All right, let's roll a wisdom check or wisdom save to see if you get frightened or you go into a rage. And now I want you, and then you role play the rest of this scene afraid or in a rage, which means I'm gonna have you be rolling a lot more to be seeing if this gets worse, or if you need to start a fight, or you need to leave the place. Hell yeah, the child is a totem barbarian, and its totem is the wolf, so it gives advantage to other players when they're when in rage. They are always together. Once they were walking in the tunnel, they had a lot of water, so they made a totem to the fighter was carrying. The child in shoulders, and they shared the same initiative order. They had advantage. Oh, that's cool. So here's an interesting thing. So the child is a barbarian, and they get advantage when they rage. Interesting thing you could do or explore is, and I don't know if it's already happened at your table, but the parent figure, how do they respond to their child suffering from rage? Is there another way that the barbarian can express themselves to trigger the rage mechanic without it being actual rage? And how does the parent teach that to the child? I think that'd be a cool subplot in a D&D game. Well, guys, I gotta call it there. We got this base going. We got it cut out. We got the acrylic cut and sanded, and it's meant to carry the light up. That's good. We've sanded and textured the pillar wings. We pointed out the mistake I made, so I have to make 2 new ones. We'll do that for Sunday. Played with the Dremel, the heating tool. Oh, the heating tool needs to get cleaned. Let's set that to heat up, so that way I can clean it. What else? That's kind of like what we worked on today. And then we talked some good game stuff. Oh yeah. It's a good morning. It's a good time. There. Next stream's going to be on Sunday morning, roughly around the same time, 7:30 Pacific. So, what are we going to work on Sunday? Let's set some goals. We'll cut the other side of these wings in the hopes to build out the pillar fully. And if that works and that smoothly goes through with no problem, we'll roll right into working on the giant doorway. Let me get the design. I pinched myself. If we can make the pillar smoothly with no hiccups, we can go into building this archway for the giants. Alright, that's the plan for Sunday. Boop. Boop, boop, beep, beep. There we go. So that's the plan for Sunday. And, yeah, we'll hang out, build a pillar, maybe two, and we'll build an archway and get this dungeon going. You know what? Sunday, we will actually start off the stream. Right off the bat, we're going to roll up a dungeon, build it out using the Shadowdark system. So hopefully you don't miss that. Alright, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Have a great rest of your day. I hope you have some wonderful games with your friends. Yeah. Alright. Have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, and of course, and in case I don't see you and I can't tuck you in, good night.